Okay, so we have done, we have written till the here, right? Login. Okay, so the next step would be, so first we need to create a plant and we need to create an item and then we need to create the orders. Now, so how the plant would be like, see, this plant, right, probably we need to work many times, no, not only just in one or two scripts. There are a lot of scripts, an end-to-end script, or probably wherever the plant is required, plant creation, edit plant, all those. So since this object need to be reused for multiple times, then what we need to do is add the object to the repository. Okay, so I need to create a plant. Then now, so what you have to do is here we need to click on plant, opus dot link of plants dot click. But if you say this, then probably in case if the plant does not exist and all, it throws the error. So in such case, what you need to do is, if olink dot exist of 0 and then see, for link, right, there will be no disabled or enabled property. Okay, for link there is no disabled or enabled property, because if the link is disabled, obviously that will not be considered as a link, then that will be considered as an element. So you don't need to verify for link whether the link is enabled or disabled, not required. So you can just verify whether the link is exist or not, that's it. If link doesn't exist, say a thing reported dot report event make fail, in case if the exist fails, then str step name, then given link does not exist in the application or not found by the tool, please verify again and rerun. So something like that, we are passing the report exit run. Then what you need to do here is olink dot click, in case if it is exist, then function click on link. Okay, so then what you need to do now, again register user function, for which object we need to register, say link, comma, which what is the method name we have to give, verify and click. The next function name is click on link. Then keep this in event functions. Okay, then now what you can do is opus dot link of plants dot verify and click, and arguments, there should be one more argument here. Link and str step name. Opus dot link of plants dot verify and click. Given the step right. click on link. Let us give the steps a. Click on plants link in the menu. Fine. Next, what you need to do after clicking on this, you need to verify whether it's navigated to plants page or not. Then how do we do that? Then see, okay, as soon as you click on that, in case if this particular element is displayed, plants element, if you see that, if you navigate to a different page, if you look at this, then it is little different here, and here it is. So you need to verify whether this plant space has been displayed or not. Then how do we do that? Use object spy. 1 minute. So it's a web element. If you see that, what is the class here? Class is page title, and 1 minute. Yeah, it's actually class is page type. HTML tag is h1, and inner text is plants, right? So then take these properties. If opage dot web element of HTML tag, what is that? h1, class page type, right? And inner text plants, right? So if this web element exists, then you can say reporter.report event mic pass. You can say click on plants link in the menu. Okay, so navigate it to plants home page. Else you can say reporter.report event mic fail. Click on plants link in the menu. Application is not navigated to get it to plants page. What I have done here, I just clicked on plants link and then navigated to that. Next, what we need to do, or first thing that what I need to do is I need to verify whether this piece of code works fine or not, whatever the piece of code. But when I click on run, right, what happens? Again, it runs from beginning of the test, right? But I don't want to run from the beginning of the step. What should I do? I have to run from particular. So I have to execute only this piece of code, right? So what I need to do is now, instead of running from here, I'll say right click on the step and keep the cursor from where you need to execute, and you can say run from step. So run from, what is mean by run from step? What I told you, if you want to execute from the cursor position, right? So if you keep cursor at certain line, and when you want to execute from that particular line, then you can say okay, keep the cursor there and right click and run from step, and see, okay, it is executing only from it. It's not executing that close browsers or launch browser login and all was not executed, right? Got what I'm saying? This is what a run from step. From, if you want to execute from a particular step every time, and then you need to use run from step. Okay, so generally, whenever we need to execute only 4 or 5 lines of code, or probably only 2-3 lines of code is giving some problem. If you want to verify that piece of code, usually what we do is that piece of code will copy to end always, only to verify that, and then we will run from step. That means last two, we keep the cursor from the line where we need to execute, just run from step. So only that piece of code will be executed so that we can verify what is the problem instead of executing everything again. That's what run from step means for usually. Okay, next. After doing that, what I have to do is I need to click on new button. The new button will be common everywhere, not only here, and the new button is there in creating plant, creating order, case, or everywhere that new button is there, and we need to use it in too many test cases or too many scripts. That's the reason what I'm doing is here, and then I'm just adding this new button to the repository. Then I'll just give it as btn new. Okay, then what I'll do is opus dot web button of btn new dot, we have verify and click on new button in plants page. That's it. Then run from step. When you say run from step, so it will execute only that particular step, clicking on so let it get execute. It takes little time. Fine. Now what I need to do is, okay, the first thing, that the first validation is it has to display the owner. Fine. So what I need to do is, now I just need to verify the owner of that is the first validation that I need to do. Then how the owner is displayed here? Owner is based on whoever logged into the system or whoever logged into the Salesforce. The owner name should be same as this. Then what should I do? Owner name, how it is displayed? As a text. If you see that it's an element, then how can I display the owner name is same as the user who logged in? How can we do that? No, I don't want to use text checkpoint. I want the flow, not just one method. So I have to verify this owner is same as this user or not. Fine. Okay, so what we need to do? First get the text from this element. First understand how that element has been displayed. The element is classes menu button label, at the same time HTML ID is user navigation label. Then whatever the text is displayed in this label, retrieve it. How do you retrieve the text from that label or with that element? How do you retrieve the text from that element? What property it is? What is the name of the property? I said name of the property. Inner text. Then, so use different properties to identify that element. One is class, or directly use HTML ID. HTML ID is unique, right? As I told. So since HTML ID is available here, say HTML ID is user navigation label. Then dot get RO property of inner text. Then you can say str username, whoever logged in, and then take this Okay, so class is data collection, and then whoever logged in, right, you can say if opus dot web element of class equals to data collection. That's what it is, right? Data collection. It's not case sensitive, but still I'm just using appropriate case. HTML tag is td, then you can say inner text equals to dot exist. So is there any element we exist with the same text with the class data collection? Then the owner name is same as logged in username. That's how generally we validate. I think we have discussed about this. Then exist, then you can say reported dot report event make pass logged in username, sorry, owner name of the validate step, right? Validate the owner name of the plant. Owner name is displayed same as logged in username. Else you can say reported dot report event fail. Validate the owner name of the plant. Then you can say owner name is displayed as not displayed as logged in username. That's it. And this is not a blogging issue. Even the owner name is different, I can still go ahead and create the plant. Then what's next thing that we need to do? We need to enter the plant name. Remember, plant name is unique. Plant name is unique for me. Then when you say plant name is unique here, then I cannot use the same plant for every I can't use the same name for every plant that I use or I create. So every time it has to generate one unique name. But how we can generate the unique name or unique value? Timestamp. Okay. So what I will do is here str plant name equals to, I'll say test or test plant. Then you can say hour of time minute of time day of time, then day of date it is, month of date. Okay, so it's generating. Now it will generate the unique plant name. Then the same plant name I use it in the same scenario in a different place. See, this I'm not passing through an input parameter or somewhere, right? So it is generating through script only. Automatically this plant name is generating. Then since I need to use the same plant name after entering here, I need to take the same plant name into orders or different in the same scenario. So that means what I have to do, I need to store this value, whatever the value is being generated now, I need to store this value temporarily so that I can use this value in remaining piece of the code, maybe in other function. Okay, so maybe other function or some other part or in some other action in the same test. Then how do I store the value? Here, what I am doing here, say environment dot value of plant name equals to, you know what I am doing here? environment dot value of plant name equals to str plant name. What I am doing there? Any guess?
Loaded value. Loaded value.
No. What I am doing in this step? Creating user defined environment variable and storing the value into that, right? So that's what. Then okay, so here then the plant name, you need to enter the same plant name whatever is being generated. Then probably I use the plant name in edit or delete, but okay, so I don't use this particular plant, all these fields. I don't use it in remaining functions or remaining test cases. So this will be repeated only in the creating plant. These fields, whatever we have here, so will be used only in yes. Then what I need to do is here. So instead of storing these fields in the repository, then I will go with the descriptive programming. Then what I will do, opus dot web edit of then. So there is an HTML ID available for this. Say HTML ID equal to this dot set value. Set value, it's our own method, okay? So it's not inbuilt method that we have got. Set value of step name is enter the plant name. Then next what you need to do, you need to all remaining or the parameters that we need to pass, okay? So all these are right, a country, which country need to be selected, which city or phone number, address, rate, email. Email also will, address and email are unique values here. Address and email are unique values for every plant. So in such case what I need to do is, so instead of directly passing the values here in the script, instead of hard coding the values, then I'll do one thing. So what I am doing is, I am creating the Excel active. If I give S here, then it has to be selected. If I give no there, that has to unselect. Then country, then city, then phone number, then give city. Address and email are unique values, so instead of passing here, so when you pass here, right, when you pass directly from Excel, since those are supposed to be unique values, if you pass from Excel, then every time you need to come here and you have to update, since okay, for every execution you have to provide the unique value, so that you have to first verify the value whatever you provide here, then whether that value is already present in the system or not, because it should be unique. And you can't pass any value whatever you want, because if you pass any value, then if the value is already there for another plant, then it will throw the error. So that's the reason what you have to do is, okay, as like we are generating the plant, even by using the script only, we need to generate the unique email address and unique unique email ID and unique address there. So those will be generated by script directly. Then what we will do here is, say, sorry? Okay, sorry. This is street. It's supposed to be street. Then country is, you can give any country here. India. Then city, what you can do is, then you can give Bangalore. Then phone number, you can give any phone number. Four, nine. Okay, so any phone number you can give. Street, then you can just give any street there. That's it. Okay, so what I'm doing here, let me store it in somewhere. We have created yesterday folder structure, right? So we have created it here, so test data. So this is where we need to store the Excel. It's a data file, .exe. Fine. So what I have to do next? Before I pass the value into these fields, first I need to read the values from Excel, right? Before I pass the value into remaining fields like active, all those, first I need to read the values from Excel. So what should I do? How do I read the values from Excel? How do we do that? Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. Excel that should be open. Data file path. Okay. Set. Next. O sheet equals to workbook dot worksheet of sheet name. Then next. Now generally what happens is here when you read the directly from sheet and all, right, every time. See, for every parameter, every time we need to go to the Excel and then we need to take the data and all. It takes a lot of time. So that's the reason what we do is in the beginning only, as soon as we execute, all the data whatever is there in Excel sheet, we take the data from sheet to array, so that we can work with the array. So that makes the execution faster. So instead of going back to the Excel every time, so what I'm doing is I'm connecting to the sheet here, and then so once I connect to the sheet, I will take all the data into an array. I will store that array with me. Then what we will do is I will close that. Once I take the data into an array, I will close that Excel. So I don't need to work with Excel anymore, right? Then whenever I want to retrieve the data, instead of going to the Excel, I will go to the array and then I will retrieve the data from a specific column. Okay, so now the question is, how do we get the data into an array from Excel? Okay, I will write the code, just you have to explain how exactly or how it works. Set total rows equals to O sheet dot dim array of total rows minus 1 comma total columns. Okay. So this is what the piece of code generally we can write to get all the data into an array. Now can anybody explain what exactly it means then? Anybody?
First we have to get the Excel file.
Now I want step by step. What each step does.
First we have to open the Excel application.
Okay. No, I want method by method here. And I am asking about step by step what each step is doing and why we are using each step. Step number and what it does exactly.
Step number 41. We define an array.
Okay.
Then we open an application, Excel application. We have to read.
Why I am declaring that dynamic array there?
Collection.
Why I am declaring dynamic array?
We can change further.
Why we need to change?
We want to insert more data.
You don't know how many lines are there in Excel.
We don't know how much data, how many rows and columns are there in Excel, right? I mean, explanation should be clear on that. I mean, the user has to get what you are telling, right? Okay. So next.
After opening Excel application, read the workbook and read the particular file you store, Excel file. After that, by using the username file, how use the
You said file, that's not file, that's a sheet you have to take. Okay.
Then by using method username.com, you read all the rows, how many rows are filled in Excel.
Not read all the rows, count all the rows. Okay. Okay.
And again, redefine the array which we defined earlier.
Okay. You know why I'm using -1 there?
If you count from one array, you count from zero.
0. Array is an index. Since array is an index based, right? Then the number of rows in Excel always should be -1 here, because in array it counts from 1, where in array it counts from 0. So if in Excel, if in Excel it is count from 1, right? So in Excel if you set 10 rows, then it will return as 10 only. But in the array, if you want to say 10 rows, it should be 9, 0 to 9 it has to be. So that's the reason the number of rows in the Excel I'm giving -1 here. So the row number in Excel and the row numbers in the array, it matches, right? Okay, so next.
Next from first to total rows, total number of rows. And also first 1 to total number of columns.
Okay.
We assign this cell like how much is 1 comma 1 like that.
Why I'm looping like that? What is that main loop does and what is the nested loop does here?
First one is
First one is, it is
zero and second one is
each column, right? So in each row, each column. Then I minus 1 comma j minus 1 I am using, since I am starting from 1 here the loop, and okay, in Excel if it is 1 comma 1, then first row first column. In array it has to be 0 comma 0, right? So that's the reason here I am using I minus 1 comma j minus 1. The reason because I is starting from 0, sorry, I is starting from 1, whereas array should start from 0. So when I value contains 1, in array I have to pass it as 0. So I minus 1 I am using. When j value contains 1, then in array it has to be 0. So j minus 1 I am using. Then, so once all this, both the loops are executed, then it reads the data from a 1 by 1 cell, then the data will be stored in the array in respected cell only. If it is 1 comma 1 in Excel, 0 comma 0, 1 comma 2, 0 comma 1, 1 comma 3, 0 comma 2. Like this, in the respected cell, it will store in the array. Then once the loops are executed, all the data is coming into the array. So next what I am doing, the array whatever we have read, then that array I am passing to the function. So the function will return the array. That's how the function returns the array. So instead of returning the individual value, a function can return the collection of values as well, an array. Then what I am doing is I am closing the Excel workbook and I am closing the I am quitting the application. And why I am using nothing here, probably I didn't tell this fact. When you say set a variable equals to nothing, that means if there was any object assigned to the variable earlier, then if the memory was created for the variable, then it will clear the memory, it will kill the memory. So the variable will be brought to null. When it says set a variable equals to nothing, the variable will be brought to null. That means the memory whatever is created in that array, that memory will be removed. When it says set a variable equals to nothing, that's the reason. So since variable and Excel, even though I closed that Excel and I closed that workbook and I quit that Excel, the variable will have the memory, whatever the memory was created initial, the variable will have that memory still remain there. So if I want to, because if you use too many of the variables and if you keep the memory in the variables as it is, then it will impact on the execution performance and all. So now what I am doing is, once my work is done with those variables, I am clearing the memory of those variables, so that I can that makes my script execution faster. Okay, then always that's a standard whenever you have used any variables and assigned the objects, right? At the end what you need to do is you need to clear those variables. Then fine. So this is one function. Second function what I am doing is, okay, one more function I am writing here. Error data of 0 comma I if str column header in case of trim off have to tell this logic. Okay. So now this is another function I have written from 68 to 87th line. Okay. So now can anyone tell me what exactly I am doing there? Just explain that function. Get data from array. That's it. So just explain only this function. Anyone? Go step by step. Understand step by step. I'm just making you prepare, that's it. Because later whatever the code that we write, right, for remaining scenarios and all, we are going to use same functions and all. You have to understand every function that we create. If you don't understand those functions, then there is no use of writing too much of code, right? I write too much of code, and then if you don't understand it, then nobody can get anything. So every function that what we create, there is a purpose, and we need to understand. Then only in interviews and all you can explain. If you don't understand these functions, then in interviews also you can't explain what we are doing. Okay. Any idea? Seventieth line, I just defined a flag variable. Fine. So what is that 71st line I'm doing there? What is that you bound error data comma to?
This cell. This is cell.
Not cell.
It is an array.
Maximum. Upper bound. Okay, it is an error data is an array. Then what is that doing? E bound of error data comma to maximum or upper bound, you can say, of array dimension. Which dimension it is?
2 dimensions.
Why 2 dimension? I mean, why I have given 2? That's the question here. Earlier we are using just U bound of array. It's not two-dimensional array, it is two-dimensional array because the same array whatever we are getting the data in previous function, right? We will pass the same array here. So obviously it is in previous function we are creating two-dimensional array. Now the question is here, why I am using U bound of array data comma 2? What is the 2 exactly there? What is the syntax of U bound? We discussed in the VB script. Upper bound of specified dimension. What is the 2? What is the 1? 1 stands for first dimension. What is that first dimension in two-dimensional array? Rows. What is that second dimension? Columns. So comma 2 means I am getting the upper bound of the columns, so the second dimension here. U bound of array comma 2 means get the maximum index size of the second dimension. That means get the maximum number of columns in that particular array. So 0 to upper bound. Assume if there are 10 columns in the array, then upper bound of the column will be 9, right? 10 rows and 10 columns means 9 comma 9, or 5 rows 9 columns means 4 comma 9 it would be, right? Or 4 comma 8, 9 columns means, right? So U bound of array comma 2 means it will retrieve the upper bound of the second dimension. You know why I am getting only the columns here, why not the array, why not the rows here? Because see, when I want to retrieve the data from an array or maybe from Excel, I can't provide the directly index number and get the value from this column because I don't know which column is stored with which index number, right? So I have stored too many columns there in Excel here. Okay, when I want to retrieve the country, then okay, if to retrieve this is the second column, right? In the array I have to pass as 1, column number 1, right? Column number 0 means active. But tomorrow it's not the same column number. They may introduce one more column or some columns, or they may remove some columns and also column will be, number will be keep changing. So that's the reason what we are doing here is, okay, instead of directly passing the column number to retrieve the value, and I am passing the column name as an argument. Now I need to understand based on the column name that I provide in which column, okay, what is the column number for the name. So to do that I don't have any direct method to retrieve the column number based on the name. So what I do is loop it from first column to last column and retrieve one by one column header and compare that column header with your given column, and as soon as the column is found at any column, right? So if any column is matching with the given column name, then go to that particular column, retrieve the value from given row number. Row number will be passed because not only just one set of data that I may pass, right? I may pass multiple sets of data also in different rows. Right now I have passed only one set of data here. Like this probably I may need to create multiple plants. Whenever I need to create multiple plants, I create maybe 4 or 5 rows or 6 rows like that. So which data set that I need to execute? I need to pass through int row number. If I pass as 1 as an int row number, that means second row in the array. Int row number 1 means second row in the array, right? Second row in the array means obviously first row goes for column header, second row nothing but the data set. So first data set like that. Then what I am doing here, first one is looping through first column to last column. I represent the column number here, 0 to the total number of columns we have in the array. Then when you look at this 72nd step, then here are data of 0 comma I. Why I am passing 0 here? Because 0 stands for first row here. Then why only first row? Because I am looking at column headers, right? I am comparing the column header here. So then what I need to do is column header. I need to get from first row only. To compare the column headers, I need to get the data only from first row always. But column will be increasing. First row first column, first row second column, first row third column, first row fourth column to get the column header. Then whatever the column header that I am retrieving here, then that column header I am comparing with given column name. So column name will be given through the function argument. Whenever I want to retrieve the data in my application, I want to retrieve the, I need to provide the column header. So if any of the column header, given column name is matching with the retrieved column header, then I'm just changing the flag variable here. We will understand that flag variable in some time. Then you say, take that str data equals to error data of int row number. From which row I need to take, maybe first data set or second data set or third data set, I need to pass as a argument. Okay, while calling the function, we need to pass. So if I pass as 1 here, 1 will be passed here, 1 comma I represents the column number, right, based on in which column it is found. 1 comma, assume that when I want to retrieve, if I pass the column name as country, then I value will be 1. Then data set, if I pass as 1, 1 comma 1, that means second row, second column. If I pass city, then it will match at 2, I value at 2. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2. Then if I pass int row number as 1, 1 comma 2 it will say. That means second row, third column, like that. Then it will retrieve the value and stores it in str data. And in case if any of the column is matched, I don't need to continue with the loop. I don't need to go to the next column. So that's the reason I'm stopping the loop here. Then what I'm doing here, in case if the BLN flag variable remains false only, that means it did not execute this step, then say that get the data from the column, so and so column name, that whatever we have passed here. Then say that no column found in the data table, because if no column is matched, then the flag variable remains false only. Else, that means if it is not false, if it is true, then the function, whatever the function that we have created, will return the data whatever we have taken here. That's what the logic is. Okay, so these two functions we need to use whenever we want to retrieve the data. Okay, let me do one thing. This time I'll keep these functions inside the library, and these are the generic functions, okay, not related to a particular application. For every application this is quite common. So what I'm doing is here, I'm storing it in the library. Okay, then so what I am doing is, now I stored those functions, right? First function what I am doing, get data, or what is the first function name we have used here? Get into data into, it's supposed to be get data into array. Okay, sheet, and str data file path is nothing but this is the data file path, right? Comma, sheet name what we have given here, plants. Okay, then you can say error plants data. Now what this function returns exactly, from this it will connect to this particular workbook, and it connects to this sheet, and then it will retrieve the data into an array, and function returns the array, right? Then same array I am storing here. So as soon as, since this function is returning the array, then this variable will be automatically converted into an array. Okay, next what I am doing is str or BLN active status equals to get data from array. First one is ARR data is nothing but from which array you want to retrieve the data, comma, str column name is nothing but active, comma, int row number is nothing but 1. That means first row, from first row you need to take the data. Now let us understand how exactly these two functions work. Okay, to understand these two functions, how exactly those functions are working, as our whatever the logic that we have written, because maybe the first time that we have written that logic, or the logic was already written by somebody and we don't know what that logic works, but just by looking at the functions we got some idea how those functions work, or what the logic was. But if you want to understand in detail, and if you want to understand the output, everything, whatever the outputs and all it is coming, then do one thing, instead of directly executing them, then debug it. Then how do we debug that? Then we discussed something called debug from step. I don't want to debug the previous lines of code. If you want to debug from beginning, then you can directly start from step into. But since I want to debug only from 40th line, only these lines of code and not the previous lines of code, then what you do is, instead of run from step, I don't want to run it directly, I want to debug it. Then what you do is debug from step. Then when you say debug from step, it will execute line by line. So every time we have to paste. Then I told about step into, step over and step out commands, right? Then what is step into? I told. What is step into? Yesterday I told, right? So when you say step into, now you can see that it's not executing the complete thing. So it's executing line by line. So if you see that the cursor has come to 40th line and then it just stopped there. Then click on. I just pressed on F11. What is F11? Step into. What is that step into does exactly? It executes line by line code. At a time only one line will be executed instead of executing everything at a time only. So I pressed step into on 40th line. If you see that only 40th line is executed, and again in the next line it is stopped again, right? So every time whenever you press step into, that means F11, only one line will be executed, not all the line will be executed, line by line. If I have 10 lines, right, if you go line by line, okay, at the first line when I press step into, only first line will be executed, cursor will come to the second line and will stop there. And if you press on step into again, second line will be executed and it will come to the third line and it will stop there. So you can observe what is happening at each and every line. Now first line is executed, right? That means 40th line is executed here. Cursor has come to the 42nd line, right? 41st line is empty. Then I told one more thing for step into. Now 42nd line is not the direct line that I have written. There is a function called made at 42nd line. Then what step into does now when I press on step into? What it does? Yeah, in case if there is any function called made at any line, when you press on F11 on that line, what it does is, instead of executing that line directly, cursor will be moved inside the function, because if there is a function, then it will step into the function. Now, so 42nd line, there is a function called made, right? Then what I am doing is, now I pressed on F11. When I pressed on F11, where the cursor is, if you see that cursor is moved into the function. Then now we need to understand, okay, let's see whether it's passed the right data table or not, sorry, right Excel path or not. What you do is, I'm adding the variable to the watch. Control T is the shortcut key to add the variable to a watch. Control T is the shortcut key to add the variable to watch. What is meant by watch? I told you about watch also. What it does exactly? to observe the variables during debugging time, to understand whether the variables are taking appropriate values or right values only or not, because some of the variable values are updating during runtime. So while executing, we may not be able to observe how those variable values are being updated. Sometimes scripts will fail because the variables are not taking appropriate values, or the variables are not updating with right values. So since the same variables are being used in remaining piece of code, if the variable doesn't take the right value, then wrong value will be passed to the script. So obviously script is expected to be failed. But since during execution time we may not be there at the desk, or we can't take, the variable is not a physical memory for us to view the value. If it is the physical, then we can view it, but internally the value will be updated, right? So we will not be able to see how the variable value is being updated. So that's the reason what we need to do is, during debugging we need to understand, okay, I have used these many variables and the variable values are coming from so and so location, and then the variable value is, the variable is taking the right value only according to the situation or not. We need to observe it. So then we will be confident. We will be confident on the script. Now what I am doing is, then okay, see str file path I am taking. Then I have to understand whether this data file path is taking the right data sheet or not according to the situation. So for this particular script, then it is taking the data file.xls. Okay, it is updated. Now sheet name is updating properly or not? Yeah, it is taking sheet name as plans. Fine. Now, is it taking the row number, total rows and total columns, right or not? I am just pressing Ctrl T. Otherwise what you can do is right click and add to watch. Right click on the variable, keep the cursor on the variable and add to watch. Now you can see total rows is nothing but 2. There are 2 rows in the data table and total 5 columns are there. You can see that total rows and total columns updated with 2, 5. Then, so what will be the array size now? There are 2 rows, right? Array size, okay, first dimension of the array, total rows could be 1, because 2 rows in the Excel, nothing but 2 rows in the Excel, nothing but index size 1 in the array. If you want to understand that, what I am doing is, I am going to console. I am saying ubound of, I am executing one method because that method is not placed directly in the script. Only for while debugging, by executing some methods, I want to understand whether the ubound or upper bound has taken upper bound for a column or upper bound for the rows have taken appropriately. So what I am doing is ubound of my array, comma 1. What does it mean? For array 1, comma 1 means first dimension 1 it is taking. So that means upper bound for first dimension is taken as 1. That means 2 rows. Similarly here, so second dimension is taken as 4. This is the use of console. Like if you want to execute some methods temporarily, right, and to continue the execution, like if those methods are not directly placed, that message box and all not placed in the script, only while debugging and all we need to understand whether the ubound and the ubound for both the dimensions have taken appropriately. Then I just used console and I executed the method. Okay, so we are going to see the console and watch in coming scripts. Okay, so these variables are not required for me now. Then if you see that, what is the I value? I value is taken as 1 and j value is taken as 1 first time. So it will be cells of 1 comma 1 and whereas 0 comma 0 because I value is 1. Then j value taken as 2. So j is total 5, right? Total 5 columns. Then j value should be executed till 5. If you see that, executed. Once all the columns are completed in first row, then if you see that the cursor is moving, I value is updated to 2. So it is taking from each and every value. Done. So since I value, as soon as I value become more than the total, then automatically it has come out of the loop. It did not execute for 3. Now this array is nothing but, if you see that, array is updated with all the values here. There are total 5 sub items, means 5 values are there. Then it came out of the function. So this is the use of debugging, step into. Now if you see here, that is a function call, right? If I press on step into, it will go inside the function, but I don't want to go inside the function. I am sure that this function works fine. Then what I am doing is I pressed on F10. So without going inside the function, it just executed as a single line. That is a step over. Okay. So like this, whenever you have written some functions and all, you need to understand the functions thoroughly. It's not like just, somebody has written the function and we use it. If you don't understand it properly, then you can never use, no matter. If you write 1,000 lines of code also, you will not be able to explain it. But in interviews, it's not like whether you have written or not, that is a secondary. But whether you can explain it or not, that is a matter there. Right? Okay, so we will stop here today. So